One thing as a mystic that I want to share here today is that it is not a road that many can follow. It is not really a life that is cracked up to be what people might think it is. One of the things that you'll find with mystics is that we're way ahead of the game. As a kid, and I want to make this really clear as well, is that this is not coming from like an ego place or a place of I told you so or anything like that. It's just, if you're out there and you're like me, and I know that there's not a lot of us out there really, the real ones, but we are quite detached, and we are aware that all service in this world is not service to self. It is service to other. Anyone who is not truly spiritual could never even hope to understand what the gravity of what I just said right there. Okay, they just wouldn't get it. Generally, as a kid, I could see things, hear things, knew things. I knew of timelines that had already taken place on the earth. So for a lot of my life, it wasn't like I was learning things. I wasn't learning things. It was more like I was just remembering things. Particularly in primary school and high school, when we would learn about wars that had taken place. I just knew a lot about World War II. I don't know why World War II was a very, it was just like, I just knew a lot about it. And so a lot of it was kind of remembering. But one of the things is you'll find a lot of the mystics like myself, we're not going to be out at the club. We're not going to be down at the pub. There is such a level of isolation that comes with this. It is really a double-edged sword, because I can read timelines before they happen. I can see things. I can take one look at a photograph of a person and know whether they've got a dark heart. I've gone on dates where I've actually got out there and I've been driving to meet this person, and I've actually stopped and I turned my car around and drove back home down the highway. A lot of people are very scared of me. This is something that comes up a lot. What I talk about is quite scary, which I find ridiculous, but that word comes up a lot around me, because I can access information on you without your permission. That's why. Right there. I just hit the nail on the head. That time you did something, and everyone did something. Everyone carries shame. By the way, it's interesting, as I've gotten older and studied more in the occult and spirituality, and of course psychology, a lot of the methods, a lot of the concepts are completely outdated now. One of them is also interesting to me, is that basic psychology just isn't even kind of considered anymore, which is quite scary. A lot of therapists really don't know what the fuck they're doing, to be honest. because we are heading into such an uncharted territory, and we're moving there so quickly that there are days where we are here for the end. The end of Western civilization is at some point is going to be completely collapsing. And that's not just a flippant statement that I just say, because it does sound quite dramatic, but I don't think people understand the gravity of what that is, or what that would actually look like a world without internet, when the servers have all been blown out around the world in different locations, because they don't know any other world outside of this. I don't see the younger generation capable of running the countries. I don't see how it's going to work. It's so obvious that it's not going to, and that there's an agenda. And I'm calling it now in this podcast that 2026. So we've just come into 2024. We're going to see more war, more brutality, and then it's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and the frog in the pot. The frog in the pot. If you haven't heard of the analogy, you put a frog in a pot and you slowly, gradually heat the temperature of the water. And before the frog knows that it's too late, the frog can't move. It's immobilized and it dies in the pot. Can't jump out. That is where we're headed. By 2026, we're going to see a significant shift. And then in 2050, we are going to head into a kind of eco-collapse, and then a jihadi kind of war. And then on top of that, we've got AI, which is coming through, which is basically going to replace millions of people. I don't know if you know it, but Amazon already are manufacturing robots, AI robots, to take over their factories. Everything is completely unsustainable. And it's just scary to me that this isn't in the forefront of anyone's mind, and we're all addicted to our phones, and it's just fucked. Generally, as a mystic, as a real mystic, I am probably about, on average, about 4 or 5 years ahead of the game. And then by the time I've already moved on from a concept or a thing that I've already explored, that becomes the new thing. It's just how it is. So we're kind of detached in a way. And this isn't some self-indulgent, wokey bullshit. This is the real thing. The consciousness of humans is just getting more self-centered, more greedy, more fragmented than ever before. So some days I know that once this ends, it's like, well, why am I doing this? What's it all for? Why does this matter? It's quite scary. We're seeing, I'm just going to give you some little, I don't want to breadcrumb you too much, but if you know what's going on, you should already start to create a plan for yourself. There are certain locations in the world now that are more of like a haven or a safe place where a lot of the world's not top elites are aware of, but they know of them, and they are starting to build bunkers, and they're starting to get their families there. Some of them have already made the jump. Obviously, Perth, Australia is the most isolated city in the world. that is the main one at the moment, which seems to be. There are some islands off the coast up in Queensland, Australia, and also New Zealand as well. So plans are now starting to be formed, and a spiritual war has always been taken place, has been going on behind the scenes, but now we're getting things that are just coming out that are so left field that we pretty much have beings, demons, whatever, just walking around at this point now freely. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously there's certain sacred parts in the world, obviously the Middle East, Jerusalem, there's certain parts now which are being tampered with. Rituals are being performed. By the way, mass rituals when people are killed at one time also creates like a porthole and can weaken veils between realities as well, or veils between dimensions. If you're listening to this and you're doubtful of me, I'm mentally healthy. I'm not mentally ill. I am not crazy. I'm not. I'm completely rational and sane. I'm just sharing some observations here and just talking about this freely. But yes, we are heading very, very quickly into a very dark epoch of human consciousness where it is completely about self. Fragmentation, not integration. No free thinking. People are just getting indoctrinated into these ways of being and thinking, and it's not love. It is not love. So my advice is now that find something that really brings you joy. Try to be of service to others. And I mean real service, not working, like saying that you're working for some non-for-profit organization or some shit like that. I mean like the real thing, like ground level. Really get involved in your community. No, seriously, go donate some time to a soup kitchen. Go do Meals on Wheels volunteer work. Go give clothes to someone, not just to a charity that takes it all and makes money, some psychopathic corporation that comes under the guise of helping people when it just helps its own pockets. I mean real help that is going to really help. Because right now we're past this critical level. Like, I don't see how we're going to turn this around. And I get the crab analogy. It just comes into my head a lot. Obviously the mud crab analogy, or little mud crabs all in a bucket. One gets a little bit higher than the other and all the other crabs just grab it and have to pull that one back down. And I'll leave another analogy before I get out of here. Just today, I'm just sharing my thoughts here. The starfish one is a really good one. If you haven't heard of this one, it is the message that I want to share today. There was a man walking along a seashore one morning, and there had been kind of like a swell in the water, like a bit of a storm, and a young boy noticed that the old man was walking along, and every few steps he would bend down as he's walking and pick up a starfish and fling it back into the water, back into the waves, into the depths, as the tide was going back out. And there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these little starfish all in the sand. Some of them were moving around, but they were dying. And the little boy said to the man, "Why are you doing this? Why do you bother? You can't save all of them." And the old man turned to the little boy and said, "You're right, I can't save all of them, but one is better than none." Okay? I hope that this message was received directly into your heart from mine. Don't bullshit yourself. If you're being unfaithful in your relationship to your partner, don't bullshit yourself. If you're not feeling it, if you're not present, if it doesn't truly bring you joy, let them go. Start telling the truth, because the truth is what we need more than ever before. Do not bend the knee to some sick psychopathic person because challenging them might upset someone. We have to tell the truth, and we have to try. Just try. Okay? Because truth and love is higher than evil. It's higher than a lie. And you know it when you can feel it in your heart. Just try. Even if the odds are insurmountable, and most of the time they are, just keep on trying. Have a good week.